Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Half-Life podcast. Haven't done one of these in a while. In fact, the last time it was also in February, so I thought I would mix one in while I'm waiting for the suggestions for the new Cryptids and Monsters videos. This go around, this one is definitely a fan favorite. One of the best, most well-known, one of the most beloved monsters that was associated with the first Half-Life game. And what makes it so beloved is the fact that you never really see it again, at least too much, with regards to the future games. I mean, granted, it's there later on in the second game, the opposing force, but it's nothing like obviously the impact of the first game. And then obviously nothing of it comes about in any of the other sequels. What I'm talking about is the fan favorite known as the Gargantua, which you're looking at a picture of here. Obviously, this is one thing. You see this, you know exactly which monster I'm talking about because it absolutely had a huge impact when it made its debut within the game. Just the actual scene where it's made its first introduction, very, very memorable whenever you saw this thing appear for the very first time. So first, let's talk about the Gargantua itself, and then talk about how essentially you can beat it because it's very limited. The game purposely makes defeating the Gargantua pretty much based on your environment rather than anything as far as a direct approach. So what is the Gargantua? Well, it is one of the most biggest, strongest, tallest entities, monsters, whatever, within the entire game. It is found within a level that is called the Sector E Track Control. So whenever you see this thing, you're looking at it directly again, you see that it is one of a kind. In fact, this thing, it's only encountered, I believe, twice, maybe a third time within the game. It depends on the last time where you're teleported when you're in the final level. But at least the very, very first time, you see it in its entirety. And based on what it's designed, it looks like you're looking at something that is very, very strong, very muscular, powerful arms, gigantic upper body, legs that don't really have too much, let's say, muscularity to them, but still it can move. It can help it move pretty fast. In fact, whenever this thing is chasing you, one of the things you'll shortly realize is it is able to catch up to you really quickly. It runs faster than you can. So that was one of the things I noticed whenever I was running away from it. With regards to its outer shell, that's the closest, I guess, thing you could call it. It is practically impenetrable. You have some kind of thick blue skin associated with it that reaches around its entire body, some kind of armor of some sort. So if you ever go with a direct approach, just firing any kind of machine gun or any kind of grenades at it, you're not going to pierce it too much. You're going to have to do a huge amount of damage, a huge amount of ammo wasted in order to get around it. Now back to its arms and its body. In this case, its arms, its most distinct weapon happens to be that red flare, that red fire that comes out of its arms. It'll happen whenever you get really close to it. The official name for it are the fire jet arms. So if you get close to it, it'll start pouncing with those fire jet arms, and then that's it. Unless you're at 100% health, your health will go down very, very quickly, and you'll be dead within a few moments. So obviously when it comes to this thing, distance is a key factor. The next weapon that it has is a very distinct one, very memorable one. It's something involving its eyes. I'm sorry, shockwaves of some sort. Like it'll essentially do something. Maybe it's a roar, maybe it's some kind of pouncing on the ground, who knows what it is, but it's able to do something as far as creating a shockwave. Like it's pounces the ground, and then when that happens, you'll see something in terms of a reddish, I guess, missile of some sort, laser-like missile coming straight to you, because generally it's shooting at your direction. So what you have to do is just get out of the way, but it comes pretty fast. So the whole idea is whenever you're in a cramped environment, that seems to be its preferred weapon, so that way it knows that you do not have much of a chance of getting away from it. But if you can, in fact, one of the things I used to do when I was playing the game now surrounded by soldiers, was you would stand in front of the soldier whenever the Gargantua used that particular shockwave, and then it would take out the soldier behind you. So that was a neat way of taking care of two things at once. And then another weapon that it doesn't really use much, only because of the closeness associated with it. It does some kind of weird punch, like it'll actually swing at you, like it'll swing its arms back and forth, but it has a very, very powerful punch. So if you're that close already, then you're in big trouble. And when it comes to having that punch to you, then it's not much longer when it comes to it killing you. There's one more thing that it seems to do. This one, it's there, but it's not there, only because you never really see it in action. It seems to have what's called a supersonic roar. You hear it whenever you're in certain portions of the game where you no longer see the Gargantua, but you hear it. You hear its essential, like, I guess, grunting of some sort. Every now and then, though, there'll be this gigantic roar, and whatever that roar is, it'll cause everything around you to shake. It is very, very powerful. It's probably its most powerful weapon, which is why I don't know why you don't see it, but it's why it's most dangerous one, because it'll cause things to start falling down, like your entire area, whatever is hanging above the ceiling, whatever infrastructure there is. It seems to have that effect, like it'll cause things to rumble, and then it'll start breaking the entire room. So I wish that the game would have introduced that as a visual sort, like you can actually see it in action. So what it does, who knows, but it's definitely some kind of roar. But I wish again you could see it in action with regards to the Gargantua. Now when it comes to actually defeating it, I was mentioning earlier, if you're trying to do the direct approach, you're pretty much out of luck, unless you have all those cheats when it comes to, let's say, giving you unlimited ammo or giving you unlimited health, because if you're going that route, you can defeat it just through the traditional, let's say, weaponry, but it's going to take a long, long time to do so. Every now and then, whenever I was playing the game, I would use some of the cheats. And then when that happens, I was able to see it defeated just using conventional weaponry. Basically, it'll just blow up, just like as if you are using the environment around it. But whenever you're not doing that, the game relies on you making sure that you can use some very, very specific points within the environment around you to take care of it. One of those that comes to mind was one of the electrical discharges. There was this level that had like this weird power station nearby, and whenever you were there, the Gargantua obviously followed you. Very, very scary scene, because you had to run basically in front of it and then around it and then away from it, all while trying to avoid itself, trying to kill you. And when that happened, it led you to a power station, or you led it actually, and you were there trapped, but you had just moments to turn on that power station. So a very fearful scene, but very memorable one too, because of the situation surrounding it. But when you did so and you turned on the power station, then you had those gigantic electrical discharges coming forth, and then it blew that thing up. It was quite satisfying to see that. It was a perfect ending to a very scary introduction to the Gargantua. You couldn't have asked for a better movie ending when it comes to that. Now the second time that this Gargantua comes out, it's on a level called Surface Tension, also memorable with its introduction, because there you're in some kind of underground parking lot of some sort, and then you see these soldiers. They're about to aim at you, and I remember very clearly that all of a sudden you feel the rumble associated with the Gargantua running towards that same area, and then those soldiers were essentially crushed by the Gargantua, by it shoving, in this case, some cars, some kind of SUVs to the soldiers, and then slamming the soldiers almost like pizza against the wall. And then it turned straight towards you, and it was a running game at that point. It was running to you, it was catching up to you. I remember turning around several times and seeing it closer and closer. It was by far one of the best parts of the game. And eventually it would lead you to some kind of area that involved a bunch of large aquifers of some sort, some kind of large containers of water. I don't know exactly what that was. Maybe it was a sewer of some sort. I can't really tell too much, but the whole point was eventually when you let it out into the open, you had to dodge its various points where it was trying to get closer to you, and when you did that, then you used some kind of remote radio control of some sort to call in some kind of airstrikes, and you use those airstrikes to lure the Gargantua first to a specific point using yourself as bait, and then when it went straight to you, then you used the airstrikes to pinpoint the missiles straight to Gargantua. Another, in this case, satisfying ending, because it was so neat to see that thing, in this case, look around very much so, like wondering what is going on, what is hitting it, and then realizing that it's too late, and then it blows up. So again, very, very memorable stuff. The last time that you see the Gargantua in the first game, it seems to be, again, it depends on your luck of the draw. When you're at the very, very final level with the Nylymph, sometimes you're teleported by it to a different room, like a different gigantic alien room. I think the official term is like a chamber of some sort. And when that happens, I recall seeing the Gargantua one time, but then when I played the game another time, I don't recall seeing it either. So I guess it just depends on luck of the draw. Somebody needs to clear things up a little bit there. But if you do happen to see the Gargantua, then obviously you're in a bad spot, because it's very hard to get out of that very large room without, in this case, having to deal with the Gargantua. Now, some interesting stuff about the Gargantua. I mean, you're looking at some of the concept art here. It shows that it started off, it seems like, as a much smaller size, and then it seems like it grew in size as the game further progressed. You'll see that it went through some color tests as well. I mean, there were some weird designs with it when it came to its coloring. Maybe it had something as far as a chameleon-like body, like maybe it was actually shifting towards different types of colors based on its environment. That would have been an interesting thing. Imagine if the Gargantua could disappear into the background and you don't necessarily see it because it's changing its color to match the background. So quite interesting stuff. Here's another, in this case, early concept, and it has to do with the drawing of some sort, like in this case of Zen with the Gargantua there. It's neat too because it showcases how the levels were designed back during the early Half-Life days. Like they essentially drew them out as a panorama of some sort, going from left to right, showcasing what you as a player would encounter, but in this case it's just as a drawing form as well. Other interesting thing is you can, if you're in, let's say, an area and you happen to have one of those Zen trees nearby, you can have the Gargantua go to it in a way like yourself using as bait again. But when that happens, that tree will start attacking anything nearby it, including the Gargantua, and then that's another way to kill it. So quite interesting stuff. But yeah, that's all the information associated with the Gargantua. It did make another appearance, I believe it was in Opposing Force. Trying to remember what particular scene that was, but I'll talk about it, I guess, whenever I start talking about that game instead. But as far as the other sequels, my understanding was, I remember reading this somewhere, it was supposed to make an appearance within the second game, Half-Life 2, and it was supposed to be some kind of, I guess, a cameo of some sort. It was to be where the train is, that bullet train that I guess transports people between different cities. It was supposed to be going through some kind of valley, but whenever that happens, it encounters a Gargantua, and the Gargantua takes on that train, not realizing how much of a futile effort that is. And then when that happens, that's it. It basically slices or it shreds the Gargantua to bits, and so that would have been really, really interesting to see. But otherwise, no, that was going to be the last point of any kind that the Gargantua was going to make an appearance, but it didn't even have that within the Half-Life 2 game. So alright everybody, thanks again as always, take care.